Hey everyone, John Lorden here. Welcome to another episode of Itchy Mysteries. By the way, just so you know, this will be my last video for this week. It is Thanksgiving here in the US. I'm taking Thursday and Friday off, but I wanted to give you guys a little something. Maybe if you have some spare time this weekend, or this long weekend, maybe you'll want to check out the film that I'm reviewing today. And before I get started, I have to give a very big thank you to Russell Prose, who recommended this. And he said when he recommended it, John, I think this is right up your alley. I think this is something you'll enjoy. And I gotta say he was correct. I really did enjoy this. Today we are looking at Catching a Killer, The Wind in the Willows Murder. And let's just go ahead and get right to the plot at IMDb. Like a real life episode of Inspector Morse. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'm pretty sure it's a show in the UK, but let's continue. Following police investigators as they explore the death of a wealthy Oxford antiques dealer. Now, they even talk about it in the actual documentary that it does seem like the plot for one of those, like a murder mystery novel or a murder mystery television show. I mean, you've got this antiques dealer being pretty brutally murdered in his home. And what I like about this is, first of all, I seem to keep seeing media from the UK about how their investigators work. And I just really like that media. And I've talked about it before, and some people have said, you know, John, that's just kind of how they're portraying things. You know, not every case goes that way, or I get it. But from the type of media portrayals that I've seen in shows like this one, I really like the humanity that's being presented by the investigators, the access that the productions get to these cases. I don't see things like that here in the US, and I really, really appreciate that. In this case, you have, you know, like the children of a suspect being interviewed. The cameras are right there. They're catching all of it. There's, you know, personal conversations with family members. Cameras are there capturing it, and not in an invasive way, or not in a way where you feel like some kind of voyeur or something like that. Just with this tact and this approach that feels very respectful to the case that's being presented. So I like watching these types of, and I've seen a couple of shows from the UK that fall into this, where you just get this very up close and personal introspection of the investigators, what they're thinking and feeling as they're going through their investigation. Now, I have to say, in terms of this being an itchy mystery, yes, there is certainly a mystery. You want to figure out what happened to this dealer. You want to find out who harmed him and why. All your questions will be answered by the end of watching this documentary. But there's not a lot of twists or turns in this. What I see this as is a very strong example of a very somewhat of a straightforward investigation. Quite honestly, I wish all investigations went like the investigation that is featured in this documentary. It moves so logically. You know, first they don't understand the motive for the crime, so they start looking at the antiques that are in this antique dealer's home, and then they're able to, you know, quickly weed it down to there's one of those that's missing. So now they have a little bit of a motive. The thing that I really appreciate, and I don't, once again, hear a lot of that happening in cases here in the US, is there's a time where they cross-reference data from a cell phone ping to their CCTV systems to see if there's a vehicle that matches the different towers that cell phone is basically taking a ride on. And they use that to drill down to a specific vehicle. Even in the case that I was reviewing over the past few weeks about Kelvin Close, I was starting to wonder that, like, you know, you have a cell phone path here. You at least have some highway cameras. Now, admittedly, I don't think we have anything close to what I see for CCTV coverage in the CCTV coverage in the UK. But I know that we do have, you know, cameras on highways and traffic cams and stuff like that. And I was even thinking along those lines with Kelvin's case. Could they cross-reference some of the data from that ping trail with some of those cameras and try to chart some of his movement so they could figure out what happened to him? And then all of a sudden I see this film where they use that as a very strong mechanic for really weeding down what vehicle was involved with this crime. Very impressive. It kind of warms my heart to see investigators that really care about this case at an intimate level, but then they are very clear. They talk about how they realize that they get to move on from case to case, but the families are left behind here. This documentary really shows how families can be affected, particularly the suspect's family. It's just, there's a lot that goes on in this very tight documentary that I was able to appreciate. And like I said, not the twistiest itchy mystery, a very straightforward investigation that comes to a very firm conclusion. There's a bunch of great information that they're able to find to really put their case together. And then they even go as far as letting you know of the outcome of the trial and all that. So just a really well done production. And I don't know if this is a TV show, this Catching a Killer, but I'm gonna look into it more, see if there's other episodes. I believe, I actually looked at the website already and I saw there was a couple of other ones. I don't know how often they do episodes or if they're just like a TV special, but I already want to check out more of it just because I was so moved by this piece. I really enjoyed it. Nothing really great in terms of cinematography, music. I really hardly even noticed that it was there. This is really, it shines in terms of the story that is unraveling and the people that are part of it and the level of access. I can't say it enough. The level of access that this production team has, the meetings that they're sitting in on in the investigator offices, the phone calls that they capture, the family dynamics that they capture as they're going through all this. It's really impressive. And quite honestly, I wish we had more shows like this to show us here in the US that we have people like this working in our units too. I'm sure they're there. But quite honestly, a lot of the stuff that I see on television probably doesn't represent the best of these people, the best of their processes and procedures, the way that I feel like Catching a Killer did. So right now it's rating, I think, just over a 7 on IMDb. I have to agree with that. You know, I feel pretty fortunate that a lot of the stuff that I recommend to you guys, I get to weed out some of the worst stuff, and pretty much everything that I bring to you on this show, with a few exceptions, is normally something that I think most of you out there would appreciate your time with, unless I specifically tell you guys that, hey, this, the audience might be fragmented on this one. I don't think the audience is fragmented on this one at all. And I don't think you have to be living in the UK necessarily to appreciate this. There's a lot to appreciate in Catching a Killer, I think, for everyone. And in terms of watching very good investigators do very good work and have a very solid outcome, which I wish more cases went this way. I know I said it before, but I truly do. It's really nice to see a case that within a matter of days really has its answer. So I think it's a great example for all you guys to check out. If you have some extra time this holiday weekend, I hope you do. To everyone else that doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving this time of year, I'll be gone for a few days, but I will see you back on Monday. I'm working on a very special interview. I hope it comes together for Johnny Vlogs on Monday. I've got another special interview for Brain Scratch next week. That's hopefully going to come together as well. So just know that I'm trying. I'm really working hard for you guys on some big things coming up on the channel just for next week and into the future. So thank you so much for spending some time with me here on Itchy Mysteries. I hope you guys have a wonderful week if you're celebrating Thanksgiving or not. And I will see you back here on the Lord and Arts channel, hopefully with my super duper interview episode on Monday. Take care, everyone. Have a nice weekend.